Show of hands. Anybody over there taking Ignite? Awesome. I can't see everybody because they're not in. Hey, there we go. So our Ignite here starts on the 26th. So I was just telling everybody what goes on with Ignite, what to expect. So that's where we're at here. Also, the neat thing that I really like, wow, I have no words today, is with Ignite, you have a different instructor for every single day. So you get different personalities, different perspectives on things. Some people have more energy. Some people have more knowledge. They're great instructors all the way across the board. The other thing to keep in mind is your office calendar. I always forget when things are going on. Print one out and keep it available. So when you feel like you don't have anything to do, and when you're new, it'll happen. You'll wake up in the morning and say, oh, I have nothing to do today. Look at the calendar and make sure you have something to do with your trainings, with your contacts, and just moving forward on that.
How is Ignite going for those North Shore? How is that going for you? Do you like it? What's one takeaway so far that you can tell us?
Yeah. Well, I think it's great when people share. That's because a lot of the information that has been reviewed in the 3 classes that I've gone to are things that I've heard before. I know that I'm doing some, I need to still implement others. But then when we start sharing, there was an experience where it was like, okay, this is how I talk to, how I do my touches and how I talk to my database. And then somebody shared, and her sharing was just would help me tweak it just enough that would make me like 50% more efficient.
Got it.
So the sharing is really great too.
Yeah.
Just as good as the instruction, I think. Because there's people who have been selling for 12 years who are taking Ignite, or people who have been selling for 5 years and this is their 3rd time taking Ignite. So everybody has different experiences.
And everyone has different styles. I mean, it's just, is anyone feeling overwhelmed? If you are, that's good. You should feel uncomfortable. That I got to be honest, you're going to feel uncomfortable.
I do a little bit. I just started my first Ignite yesterday though, but so far there's been a lot of good information just in one class.
Awesome.
I feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, you're going to feel overwhelmed at first. So today we thought we would because some of you are in Ignite, some of you are going to be joining Ignite, and it's just a lot. So today, Connie and I kind of talked about today's session of asking questions that you just don't know the answer to, and you just want an opinion or you want clarity on it, and it can be anything. And don't be afraid to ask, because everybody on here is a newer agent. So there are no dumb questions. It can be super simple, or it can be a very complicated situation that you have with the transaction. But I think the most important thing is that you ask and interact with others. So I'm going to start out.
Just because, now I'm going to get over. Just because, hang on, how's that? Can you still hear me? Somebody continue to talk. Anyways, just because we're not in the office as much as we were before COVID, you don't get to bounce things off of each other.
Yep.
Usually when you can bounce things off of each other, you get your questions answered. And I think with having so many Zoom meetings, people just aren't as comfortable as they were able to be in February, let's say.
Yep. So I'm going to give you an example of somebody on our team that had a really important question and needed an answer. And she called her, because we have a mentor program on our team. If you join our team, you're kind of like this. You are assigned an agent, a seasoned agent that helps you through your first 5 transactions. And this person's mentor, I don't think was available. She called me, she called Jay. I saw the phone ring, but I was on the phone with the client. So long story short, she saw my car in front of the office and she found me. She's like, I need to talk. And she pulled in and came into the office. And this was an interesting one. And she didn't know what to do. And so I'll share it. Has an accepted offer on a property, went through home inspection, and the home inspector did an air quality test, which you can do. Kelly from Integrity Homes you can ask for a home or a air quality test while he's doing that inspection. In fact, he can drop it off when he drops off the radon 48 hours prior to the inspection. So,
Question.
Yep.
Do you have to have that in your offer to purchase?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So when you check testing radon, obviously, but then I put in mold, asbestos, and then I put in a certified air quality test. So if you have someone I put that on top of the mold because it's not just checking for mold, it's checking for all different kinds of things. So she did that. And
question.
Yeah.
Do you always do that?
I don't, but I do discuss it with my buyers that is an option. And I'm telling you, more than not now are doing it.
Okay. I have never heard of it.
Yeah. And this is a really good indication. Nothing seemed to be visually apparent, but when they did the air quality test, they put it in the basement and it went off the charts with mold. Off the charts. So she had this information. Her home inspection and testing contingency was due yesterday. The listing agent was a very non-responsive agent. Basically said, I'm hiking for the next 2 weeks. I check my phone in the morning and I check my phone at night and can pretty much kiss it. So here, this time came up and this mold, this mold result was, really high. So her buyers are like, we want this remediated, but the listing agent is not responding and the deadline is midnight of last night. She's in a quandary. I talked to that agent about not only the molds and the air quality test, but more importantly, where is that coming from? Why, right? Why is that happening? And they really didn't know. The inspector really didn't know. Grading, Everdry had done the basement 20 years ago. There didn't seem to be any sign of moisture coming in. So it was a question mark. And she was freaking out and she said, I think my buyers may even want to just forget about it and take the property. And I said, well, then you're going to have to put something in an email that they're aware of this air quality test and the mold being at a high level, and they're comfortable with taking the property as it is, because this could potentially be an issue. Well, she talked to them about it and they didn't want to do that. They wanted to find out what was going on. So I gave her a mold remediation person and we called her, this mold remediator, and she said, yes, I can come out Thursday at 4:30. Well, of course, that's the day after everything is due, right? So long story short, I said, you need to get an extension for the home inspection and testing contingency and extend it through Friday. And if you can't do that, then you're going to have to give notice of defect and a cancellation of mutual release. And you have to submit that before midnight. Otherwise, it looks as though you have waived home inspection and your testing, and your buyers did get the house. So it was very tense. And of course, it's at the 9th hour, right? But she did get the agent and the seller to agree to extend it until Friday. And now the mold remediator person is going out there today. But that's what I mean. It's like you have this issue and you may have an uncooperating co-broke and you feel trapped. And what are you going to do? And is it the best thing to do to have your buyers waive that? You know, probably not, right? Mm-hmm. So you are representing that buyer. You have to represent them 100%. And if they decide that they are fine with the results, I always say get it in an email form, because if something came back and let's say this was a much bigger issue than to the naked eye, at least you have in writing that you advise them that with these high results, right? So that's one incident to just keep in mind. And although our agent on the team kept trying to get ahead of the game with dates and deadlines, that co-broke was just not available. So it was literally at the nth hour, which you really want to avoid if at all possible, right? You don't want to wait till the last minute to get your home inspection and testing contingencies figured out, because that's when you get really nervous. And that's when things can literally fall apart within minutes. So that's my situation that I can share about. Anyone else that's in a situation or wants to ask a question? Somebody's got to have questions. How about Josie?
I have questions, but it has nothing to do with what we're talking about now.
Oh, good. Doesn't matter. Bring it on, sister.
Basically, mines have to do more with the technical issues. Like, I'm just now getting back in. And so far, I haven't had any accepted offers, but I have presented offers.
Yep.
And I know the market's crazy out there, because even one of them had 20 plus offers received. And yeah, so, and they were debating among 4. When a transaction doesn't go through and it doesn't get accepted, do you used to have to send anything out, or is it just voided at that point?
As a listing agent, if I have multiple offers on a property, I still have my sellers initial that it was rejected. So at least that other agent knows that it was presented. I can tell you, when I represent a buyer and my offer is rejected, I would say 9 out of 10 times I never see anything.
I agree. It's the right thing to do to follow up and close out the contract. It's the right thing to do, because otherwise that buyer and the buyer's agent, they're hanging there. And the buyers always still think there's hope if they don't see that rejected offer.
Right.
Close out your contract. It's the right thing to do.
How do you know that it was even presented is my question, right? So I would say, hey, sellers, this is going to be a pain in the because we have, 6 offers, but I always have them sign the accepted offer first, get that signed. And then I'll say, and then I'm going to be forwarding you all the others, and you just need to, initial blah, 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 and send it back. And then I send those back to the agent. I think it's the professional thing to do. So if you haven't received that, you can say, would you mind sending me the initial rejected offer, please?
Okay.
And like Janine said, then it was presented, because every once in a while you'll get an agent who says, well, they're not going to take this. And then you don't hear anything. And it's usually I'm throwing them under the bus. It's usually the old agents who've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not going to take this. Well, I still need you to present it. Well, they're not going to take it.
Well, yeah, and how do you, exactly. And
I'm
then,
not going to name names, but there are a few that do
yeah.
that.
And I always ask too, and I always ask, so can you tell me, and you may or may not get an answer, what would have helped me write a more competitive offer for your sellers? Is there anything that I could have done that possibly would have put me in the number one position? And sometimes it isn't price, you guys. Sometimes it's the terms. But as a good buyer's agent or good agent, of course, I know you have reached out to that co-broke and you have asked all the important questions of what could make you win. Ideal closing date. That's most important. Sometimes if you find out that they are really attached to their home, they've lived there for a long time, having a letter from the buyers helps.
I love
Do,
letters.
do you attach a picture to that buyer's letter?
I have
And
not.
oh, no, you do not. That helps. I just got an accepted offer last night. And honestly, I don't think they would have cared if there was a letter or not, but all the other terms were great. So then they said that letter was really wonderful. It does help because they kind of want to know who's, some, not all, want to know who it is, like what's the story behind it.
Family home.
But it's tough. You're competing in a seller's market right now, and you're not going to get every single offer accepted. It's rough. Yeah. Who else has a question?
Janine, can I tell you what happened to me about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
We see a house, really nice house in Pewaukee, and it was at, what the heck was it? It was at 450. Walked through the house, absolutely loved it. Young family, 3 kids. As we're leaving, the owners were walking back up the driveway. They took their dog for a walk. So of course we met them in the driveway. We were talking. There was no offers coming in on this place. We were good. So of course we did the offer to purchase at asking price. So at 450. Everything was good. We gave them till the next day because there wasn't, any deadlines, so whatever. Well, by the next day, the listing agent called me. I think I told you about this. The listing agent called me and she said, I'm sorry, but we had 2 other offers come in. And I said, oh, okay. She says, my sellers love your buyers. Absolutely love them. They want them to have the house, but can they come up 30 grand? I said, 30 grand? She said, yeah, because, we have another offer that's 30,000 more, but they really want your people to have their house. But, it does come down to the price. Because they raised 3 kids in the house. My buyers had 3 kids. I mean, there was a great, great connection. They both go to the Catholic school, that, the whole everything. And I said, I've never had to do this before. I said, I can ask, but, they're a young couple with 3 kids. I'm pretty sure this will blow their budget, but I'll find out. So I called and I felt just terrible.
Yeah.
I said, I have never done this before. I told him right off the bat, I've never had to make this phone call before. I said, but the sellers love you, but they have another offer that's $30,000 more. Could you guys, up your price? And they said, we love the house. We can go 10 more, but we can't go 30. So I called the listing agent back and I said they could go 10,000 more, but at 30,000 is over their budget. So we didn't get it.
Wow.
Have you ever had anybody call and say, hey, can your buyers come up with another 30G?
I had to make a similar phone call last night. I can't really go into all the detail, but it was crazy. It was an amazing offer on one of my listings. It wasn't exactly what the list price was, but honestly, for many, many reasons, it was an amazing offer because, I'll tell you this part, they waived the home inspection and they waived appraisal. So we weren't that far off in price. So I was, and this is one thing I came home and said to myself every day I learn something or I'm reminded. I was like super excited to call these sellers and tell them, my God, this is like a gift.
Yeah.
But I'd already done that before with them and it didn't work out. So I knew not to get too excited. And their response was, oh, that's great. But actually we want the full price. And I'm thinking, oh, mother of pearl. I mean, you guys don't know how lucky you are right now. You know, I didn't say that, but I wanted to. So I said to myself inside, Janine, shut up. And literally I'm not kidding you. I probably was bleeding. I was biting my tongue because I wanted to tell them, you guys, this is a gift, but I didn't, because I thought, you know what? Some people have to fall on their sword a few times in order to get the message. So I said, okay, so what you're telling me is that you want this price. Yes. All right. Let me see what I can do. So I hung up the phone. I called the agent. I said, I gotta be honest, amazing offer. However, we have, and which was 100% true, we have a showing going on right now. That agent has already written or reached out to me during the showing and said their buyers are interested. So I'm going to be honest with you, you need to pony up. And she said, and what are we talking about? And I said, full price, baby. And she went, give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, I have a counter to their own offer at full price.
Nice.
So long story short, I thought to myself, I have to listen more. I may think I know how it's going to go, but you don't always know. So I mean, I would have looked like a fool if I would have said, you guys, no, this is ridiculous. You got to take this. I just shut up and I called that agent and I, played it out to see what they were going to do. And they did it.
Wow.
Yeah. So as much as you want to, sometimes you just got to listen and do what the seller or the buyer wants and shut your mouth.
Yep. What do you got, Karen?
Really hard to do.
With that agent.
No, go ahead. Turn your mic on. I'll turn mine down.
With that agent that asked you for your buyers to go up 30 grand because there was another offer for 30 grand, was that? I feel like that wasn't legal for him to disclose, was it?
Well, different agents will agree with different things. So it's hard. Sometimes you'll call an agent and say, I know you have a bunch of offers. Will full price be enough? And I've had agents say, write your highest and best. And I've had agents say yes, and I've had agents say no. Nobody gives the exact number, but in this case, maybe the sellers requested that the agent asks that.
You were saying that he said that there was already an offer before.
Yes. So maybe the sellers requested that they called. I have no idea. I mean, that was what I got out of the whole conversation. So.
And that's a good question, because my sellers last night said, can you share the terms of this offer with the other buyer's agent? And I said, absolutely not. I can't share that. No. So, I can tell them that there is an offer in our hands and it's a great offer. Make yours greater. But I can't really give them any specifics.
Not supposed to give out.
Well, if we write 20 more, will that be good enough? And then you can say yes or no? And you can play a game.
So the question is, if they say, can we write 20 more?
I would say, you know what? This is what I'm going to tell you. I would write the best offer that you possibly can, and that you won't feel any remorse if it's accepted, and you won't feel any remorse if it's rejected.
And it's hard because buyers ask you, what should I write? What should I do? What should I write? What should I do? they ask you all the time, and I always say, I can guide you through things, but it's your final decision on what's it worth to you. Another thing that I always do when we're in conversation over price is I break it down, and right on my phone, I keep the mortgage calculator. And when we're literally looking at a house, if people say, well, we want to do 5,000 less, and I know it's a hot property, I'll pull up the mortgage calculator, and at $5,000, depending on your price point,
Yeah.
that's 1 or 2 or 3 Starbucks a month.
Yep.
$5, $10, $15, $20 a month. Do you want to lose this beautiful house for 4 cups of coffee a month?
No.
And they're always like, what? I said, that's what it is.
And if they do, then that's not their house.
Then it's not their house. But if they really, really want it, and not everybody's a Starbucks drinker, but when you relate it to, a cup of coffee, they're like, you're kidding, right? No.
I prefer the wine scenario, but no, I'm kidding. And I always say, you know what, you guys, when that moving van pulls up in your new purchase, it right now should make your heart sing. And if it doesn't, if you're not feeling it, like it wouldn't overly excite you, then we should probably cut ties and move on. And that really does draw the line. If the thought of this moving van does not excite you pulling up on closing day, you know what, then let's cut ties and keep going.
Well, and for those of you who own a house, think of when you saw that house.
Yeah.
I mean, just as an example, our last house, we looked and looked, we were homeless because we literally sold our house, and we were living in a side-by-side with 2 wine glasses. I have 3 kids, 5 plates, 5 spoons and 5 forks, no pictures on the walls. My 2 daughters were sleeping together because everything else was packed, because we knew we were going to find that house, but we hadn't found it. And when we walked into the one that we live in now, we walked in, and I said to my husband, I said, this is it. He says, there's blue linoleum all over. I know, but we can redo all of that. This is the view, the lot, the setup, the house, the entertaining space that we are looking for. We can redo everything, which we have. But, when we walked in and just started looking around, my realtor at the time, because I wasn't selling, she says, this is it, isn't it? I go, write her up, let's go. So if you keep in mind that feeling that you had, that's what your buyers should have, especially if they're, if they're really looking for something. If it's an investment, if it's a flip, it's, that's different. But if it's somewhere that they're going to live and move their family into, they should be excited.
Yeah.
I have a scenario that I'm worried that my buyers are very unhappy now. So they bought a house along the Milwaukee River on 2¼ acres. I don't know that they're totally unhappy, but this makes me think for the future of how to really have buyers do their homework. So because it's along the river, it was in a floodplain. They had the floodplain map from the sellers. A teeny corner of the property was in the floodplain. The sellers said it was in a state. The family said that it's never gotten water. It was very high up elevation wise, and it was a very good distance away from the river. And we had a contractor who knew other people on the river contact other people and other homes to see if they had ever been flooded. I told them they need to obviously see if they could get flood insurance. And I gave them, Janine, the person that you provided me to call. I didn't know who they went with eventually, but the buyer said, oh, well, we found out that we are in an exceptional category, which was positive, and it's only an extra $600 a year. Great. So no problem. No problem with the lending. Then I follow up a week after. I'm actually going to be friends with these people going forward because of a mutual person. And I said, how's everything going? And he sounded very stressed. He said that State Farm, that's who he went with.
Oh.
They told them that FEMA is not honoring their flood zone map, their own FEMA flood zone map. And so State Farm was going to have to charge them not $600 a year, but $19,000 extra a year.
No way.
Yeah.
No.
So
No.
that's how FEMA and State Farm are in it, and they're getting a third party person to, I don't know what, find out. So I did some research on my own, and apparently since like 2016, FEMA is redrawing their maps. And they're just notifying people who aren't even near water, who used to be near a water bed or whatever. Now all of a sudden they're in a flood zone, or vice versa, they're no longer. So I just kind of feel like the next time around, they better get 2 different quotes, 3 different quotes. I don't know if they should call FEMA and confirm, or if that opens a can of worms. But this is a major deal. Not only can they not afford the insurance, but I don't know that they'll ever be able to sell that property again.
Right. Yeah. That's a very interesting. I would have them reach out to that agent that I sent you to, because
I did.
they're a brokerage, so they deal with all insurances, all different. So I would maybe to say, just for shits and giggles, why don't you go back and call this person and get another opinion? And
Laura, you did your due diligence
did.
on
Yeah.
this property. You
Yeah.
cannot go back on yourself and say, oh my gosh, I could have, should have, would have, because you guys did your due diligence. I would definitely check with another insurance agent.
Yeah.
And insurance brokers, that's who we use, just because we have different situations with different properties, and I know Janine, you do too. And sometimes you need somebody who can play a little bit more to make the puzzle pieces fit together. I think some of the larger insurance companies, and I'm going on a limb here, are really good for really simple things. You got a couple of cars, you've got a house. But once you start getting into some different properties, different toys, different rental situations, you really need to check out different insurance companies. Janine, do you have your insurance re-looked at?
Oh gosh, yeah. My insurance agent is one of my biggest sources of leads. Are you kidding? I take that person out I take her out to lunch 2 or 3 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I redo my insurance and have it re-looked at every 2 to 3 years.
She brings her file with her to lunch, and she goes through everything. Like, did you have that? She's amazing. You need to be friends with your insurance agent. For sure.
So Laura, I would definitely have them look into a different insurance agent.
But would you say if you have a buyer that's looking at a house in a floodplain, advise them get 2, maybe 3 different quotes?
100%.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
I think they got a price they liked, and we're like, oh, that was easy done. And that person could have been new, or State Farm could have been accessing old information. I don't know what to do if FEMA is just going, oh, this hasn't been updated in 100 years. We're updating it now.
Yeah. And, at some point, so we had on our team, we had call night via Zoom. It was like have a glass of wine, and we're all looking at each other on our phones, because we're doing a shredding for cancer events where you call your clients, they can bring all their papers to shred in the truck and blah, blah, blah. So it's a reason to call your clients or your friends or whatever. And so what came up with that evening is some of the agents said, oh yeah, well, I called my clients that, just closed on a house a couple months ago, and then they're telling me all their problems with the house. Yeah, that happens. Like, oh yeah, so try to turn the furnace on the first cold day, and guess what? Furnace is broken. So you have to be prepared for that to happen. I just got a call a couple weeks ago about a house that I sold 2 years ago, and they have had nothing but problems, like major problems. And these major issues were not disclosed on the condition report. It wasn't found on the home inspection, and they are ticked off. They just know that that previous seller did not disclose things that they knew about.
Mhm.
And I, of course, feel, guilty. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong. We had all the information, we did everything right. And it came to the point where I said, here is a real estate attorney that you should contact, because I can't at this point help you. And this is the only thing that I can suggest. And they did. So you're going to have, it's not going to be all sunshine and roses, people. And there's always going to be a surprise or a sense of remorse for a lot of people when they buy a house.
Yeah.
It's like this. But Laura, yours is a very unique situation. Who else has something that came up, or you just want to share so we can learn from it?
I just wanted to say that,
Oh, this is LA, by the way.
yes, hi, everybody. My name's Leanna, but you can call me LA. But I purchased a home about 3 years ago. And when we purchased, we wrote a letter with the offer. And they actually ended up accepting our offer, even though it was lower than the other offers that came in. Because knowing that a family was coming into their home and how it was going to be taken care of, they had lived here for 40 years. That really helped. So just to show that writing a letter does help a lot.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It does definitely help. How about you, Heidi? What's going on with you?
I actually have a question about the prospecting.
Yeah.
I had to go back because I wasn't able to be there live 2 weeks ago when you all, when you did your my why and your goals for the end of the year and everything. But it was awesome. For me, it was really good to go back and watch that. And I've been doing a lot of open houses, at least 2 a week.
Okay, good.
And that's been great. So I went and I used open houses for one of my 3 goals, caring for my database, because I have about 400 in my database and I've been basically ignoring them. And then I'm stuck on my number 3. So I wrote down what I can do for the open houses, 5 things, which I can put into practicality since I've been doing so many. It makes sense. And then caring for my database, I went into the deep dark hole of that yesterday and ended up doing it for like 6 hours. And so that seems really disorganized to me. And it just seems like after those 2 things, it seems like a lot. And I just don't know about number 3.
What do you think number 3 should be?
You know, I started a farm. I started farming like back during the summer, but because I left my business, it's gotten really expensive. And I just don't know if it's worthwhile to be sending the postcards every 2 weeks. And, you know, most of the open houses I've been doing are in Mequon and West Bend and North Washington County, Jackson area. And my farm is Glendale because that's where my previous business was. And I know a lot of people there, you know, had a bunch of kids go through the school district here. So I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted.
Heidi, what was your business before this?
I was a costume designer. I owned a business in Glendale making Irish dance dresses.
Okay.
So my database is big because I threw all my old clients in there, and I think I'm bugging them a lot.
Have you gotten any business from them?
No, actually, the people that I'm in contact with right now as buyers have all been from the open houses.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Sometimes, so you're looking for what would be what is your number 1 thing that you put at the top?
My why?
Yeah.
My why?
Yep.
Oh gosh, everybody's gonna think this is really silly.
No.
My my why, it's kind of two parts. I want more control over my time because when I had my other business, I worked every weekend, every holiday, 7 days a week, maybe took 3 days of the whole year off. And so I want more control over my time, but I still like working for myself and I still work really hard. So I still want to keep working hard. But we want to buy a boat, and we want to buy a boat that we can live on. So it's a big ticket item.
Okay. So you have your database, you have your open houses. So you're looking for that third item that's going to help you increase your business. Does anyone have any ideas for Heidi of what that could be?
Any ideas?
Open houses, database.
How about time management?
Yeah. Time
What does
block.
that mean? What does that mean, Connie? What do you mean by that? That's such a new thing for me.
You fell into a hole yesterday. I'm just picking up little different things. You fell into a hole for 6 hours yesterday, which is so easy to do. But second of all, you have this big database of all of these people who trusted you with costumes. They trusted you with their kids. They trusted you with big ticket items. I mean, those costumes are not cheap. And I'm sure you were fabulous. And the real cost money, and I've made costumes, so I totally get it. But taking and time blocking and working your database so it works better for you. And, because you can send out postcards and whatever, you're sending out a postcard, but you're not following up. And when you first start, you don't have the money to send out those postcards. They cost money. So take and set up every Sunday, your calendar, time block it out, and set an hour a day to concentrate on your dance people.
Okay.
Dance people have money. They like to spend money.
Yeah.
My son's girlfriend owns her family owns AOD. There's a lot of people going through the dance companies, a lot. Yeah. So, maybe setting up your schedule to work better for you. What do you think, Janine?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking too, is the time blocking. That I think will then enable you to concentrate on your database, get prepared for your open houses. That component needs to be in there somewhere. I think that's actually the most important component.
Yeah, specific individual things. So from 9 until 10 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, call, dance, database.
Okay.
Yeah.
And really specific, because then you're going to accomplish things versus marketing.
Right.
When I do marketing, I could go for
it gets overwhelming. It's like too much,
Yes.
And that's when you start falling in that dark hole of, I'm actually not doing anything right. I don't even know where to start, where I should go back, and you know what, just forget it. So if you have a really set calendar, like Gary Keller, he has that little bunker in his big, huge house, and it's like a 5 by 8 room, but but he is in there at a set time in the morning, and he does not come out until a set time at night. And he takes it serious. Jay and I had this conversation about hustle, and I was listening to him yesterday. We were just kind of talking about how we started out in the business and what's changed in the last 7 years. The one consistent thing that has not changed is the hustle. So he said it was, I quit my corporate job. I had this X amount to live on for an X period of time. So I literally he worked for another brokerage in the very beginning and didn't know really anything. And this broker was starting her business in the basement of her house. Wow. And Jay showed up at her doorstep every single morning at 7:30 and basically said to himself, I'm going to be this person's bitch for however long it takes. And 7 days a week, 7:30 in the morning until probably many times 1 o'clock in the morning. He did not have a choice.
Right.
It was either this is going to happen or I'm going to have to go back and get a corporate job.
Yeah.
So it was sink or swim. And I think if we have that mentality that this is either going to work or not, and it's completely up to me, you will figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
And the benefit of where we're at now is now we have the tools and training.
Mhm.
But ultimately, it's taking ownership. And if you have that ownership and the hustle, and you can manage your time and stick to a schedule, you're going to do great.
I have a question for Janine and Connie. So I'm thinking Heidi has a strong identity in her past career.
Yeah.
How did the two of you get people to forget about your, think of you not in terms of your past career, but in terms of real estate? What was the turning point that you got people to change their minds about how they viewed you?
I think I'm the same person that I was an esthetician. I had the same, I think I had a following because I was dedicated, I was personable, I was proactive, and they trusted me. So all of those things into a different career, it really didn't matter what I did for them before, but they knew me and they trusted me. And it was really my drunk monkey on my shoulder thinking, oh my God, I used to do her eyebrows. I mean, she's going to want me to list her $1 million house. That was my BS, because honestly, if I felt confident in presenting myself as a real estate agent, they were going to go with it. It was really all in my head. So I just immersed myself in training and felt confident when I went over to their house about what they needed to do. And it was as if I was still doing their eyebrows. This time I'm just having them sign the paperwork to list their house. So Heidi, you have an advantage. And if I were you, I would do something really clever with your marketing. And when you're talking, I'm thinking this, I would do, some kind of, when you're doing your postcards to your database that are your Irish dancers, I would have something with a shamrock on it. Go with what your, with what you had and embellish on that so they don't forget who you are and just go that Irish route. Honestly.
Looking for a new place to store your costumes?
Yeah.
You need bigger closets?
Yeah.
I mean, and Janine and I are kind of in the same boat because I used to do hair.
Right.
So, I just figured that my hair customers, I did hair for 30 years, older than dirt here, I'm feeling. But my customers trusted me with their hair, which is something that they see every day, their kids, their weddings. I've done funeral. They've trusted me with their moms at the funeral. I've done funeral hair. So if they can trust me with all of that, they can trust me with selling their houses. And Heidi, I went the same route. I sent out a letter and I said, from hair to houses, if you've trusted me all these years and I've taken care of you, I will continue to take care of you. My body couldn't hold up. I'm under a different realm, and I am so excited to continue to stay in touch with you and take care of you. And when I sell a house or do something, they still ask me, sure you can't do my hair in your kitchen? I don't have time, nor do I even like it anymore, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But, my daughter's been trying to get a color for 2 months now. Whoops. So yeah, take what you did before and really work that. And if you don't have the money to start, do phone calls and do emails. They're free. Facebook posts are free. Another thing to kind of kick in when everybody's looking at their big why, do you guys do vision boards?
Oh my God, Connie, I was just thinking about that. I have an idea.
Okay,
do.
we're doing vision boards here on the 23rd.
You are, okay. On the
Friday
23rd?
At noon. Maureen is gonna be here. We're gonna do the magazines, we're gonna do the boards, we're gonna set it all up. I love, love, love a vision board. Still haven't lost the weight from last year, but I have a bunch of stuff checked off from last year that, you know, I meant to accomplish. You know, the whole eating healthy, took the kids on a family trip. I have 3 little cars picked out of the exact picture that's on my car. I'm just waiting to pull the trigger on it. You know, so all these things on your vision board, what you see, you believe will become.
Okay, so I'm going to put it out there. On the 29th, which is productivity, October 29th, the North Shore, we don't need to be together to do the vision boards. And actually, I have mine in my closet. I'm going to go grab it in just a few minutes so I can show it to you. I do mine every year. I do one, a business, professional, or sometimes I do them all in one, but our whole family does together. I think last year my daughter and I got in a big fight and we cried. I mean, it was, so I don't know. It brings up a lot of emotion. But the best thing in the world is you hang it up. I have mine in my closet and I'm questioning where it is right now because I was under quarantine for a while because I was exposed to COVID. So I cleaned out my closet. So I'm going to run and check. But I have that vision board hanging up and I save them. I started doing this 15 years ago when I saw an Oprah show about how she did a vision board and it was called The Secret, which is a great book, and it changed her life. And I am going to be 100% honest. I was like, it has changed my life. Heidi, I had a picture, a cutout of a boat that we could sleep on 5 years ago. And it was a dream. I mean, we really wanted one. And I thought there's no way this is gonna, honestly, but I cut it out and I looked at it every day. Guess what? We have it. Now it's a 1989, whatever, and we sleep on it, but it works. It works.
Yeah, vision boards are very, very important.
So important. Vision boards.
So could I ask a question? Is the thing on the 29th then, is it specifically about that? Or is she going to incorporate that in with?
So what we're going to do, even though you guys in Lake Country are going to be doing it on the 23rd, and anyone can go to do that. If you're not, really just grab magazines, books, take things off the computer and print them out that speak to you. Get a poster board. There is no right or wrong. If there's a pretty flower that you want to put on it, or it doesn't matter because it's yours. But then on the 29th, we're going to share our vision boards via Zoom with each other.
We will not be having PC on the 29th because we're starting our Ignite out here that week.
Okay.
So we were gonna nix that first week just because it's a little overwhelming for PC.
Totally get it. Okay.
But we're doing ours on the 23rd if you guys can make it. We're doing it in person out here. So hang on, let me grab mine real quick.
Yeah, yeah, you grab yours. Let me see if I can find mine. I'll be right back.
Janine's gonna be in her closet digging for a while.
Okay, so what's really funny about this, I can kind of go through this. Getting active, I'm now working out with a trainer. How did that happen? Save, I've been significantly putting money in savings. Eating healthy. Here's my car. I have a couple picked out. I haven't quite pulled the trigger yet. Took the whole family on a vacation. And it's funny because we just bought an investment property. And guess what color the houses are? They're yellow.
Oh my gosh.
Is that crazy or what?
That is crazy.
Giving thanks, volunteering before a whole COVID thing. Every Friday I volunteered at a MS gym. I mean, there's a lot of things on here that I did this year. Nurturing your oldest friendships. I contacted back with my best friend from 7th grade, and every couple of months we reach out and talk to each other again. Investing. We met with an investor and started figuring out things for retirement. I mean, all of these things happened this year. This is 1 year. And I usually put the date on the back, and I didn't, but I know this was October because every October we've been doing them. Is that crazy?
That's
nuts.
So I just found, this is my 2 years ago. This is the one thing that just popped out in my mind. There is a convertible and it's yellow. I don't know if you can see it. Last summer, my mom passed away a couple years ago, and I bought her yellow convertible that I had shipped up from Arizona. I didn't even put this two and two together until I just went, holy, you know what? Day trips, because this is when I was working like 70 hours a week and I was losing my mind. So day trips, yes, I've taken day trips, more mindful. San Francisco Bridge, my brother lives there. I went out to visit him in San Francisco after I did this. Friendships and progress, really kind of how friendships are really important to me, and I needed to nurture that. A beach, we did go on to Anguilla last, I mean, honestly, just about everything on here is actually, but this was 2 years ago. That's why I like to save them. Character, culture. So our group that is not Lake Country, on the 29th of October, you have lots of time, and I'll remind you, but mine isn't very big, and it's so much fun. Yeah. And I hang this in my closet, so when I go in there, I see it every day, or in your bathroom. But you need to look at it every day. People on our team sometimes too have it in front of their desk.
Mine's in front of my desk.
Yeah.
It's on the wall.
But it is really super cool. So we do it.
There are many books out there on positive thinking, growing your lifestyle, growing your business, growing your future. And every single one of them have vision boards in it. Yeah. Because if you don't see it, you don't believe it, and it doesn't happen. So you want to see it, you want to believe it, and make it happen. It really, get that boat on, Heidi.
Get that boat on there. And honestly, you know, I think you're in this business for relationship building, and sometimes the fun is sucked out of it when we make it to be, you know, when you say your database and it just, I mean, it's like I can just see the fun just being sucked right out of my legs when I start thinking like that. I'm going to be totally honest with you. So I don't think that way anymore. It's how can I nourish the relationships that I have? Whether there's somebody I met at an open house or it's somebody that I've known from my past client, I don't even look at it. And I know this is going to sound horrible. It may take me off productivity. I don't look at it as necessarily in my mind at first as a dollar sign. I look at it as a relationship from my heart. And I want to attract people like myself who have that in them as clients. And honestly, you guys, it works. If you are so authentic and persistent and you want to help and you just want to develop and nurture your relationships, whether they're new or old, if you have that mindset, I think it's going to help you. Versus, okay, I gotta reach out to 10 people. What am I going to do today? I look at it as, how can I share myself and be more attached to other people? Quite simply, the only way to go for me. You may be different, but that's how I roll it.
Hey, I got a phone call yesterday from the wife of a couple that I sold a house to last summer. And it was so funny. I'm like, oh my gosh. And she's one of these wild, and I didn't know why she was calling, because I watch her on Facebook and she's this great poster of this great mom and this great, and everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, why is she calling me? What's wrong? What does she want? What is she? Well, I knew because of what she puts on Facebook. She started a new career at Northwestern Mutual. And when she called, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope everything is okay. Do you know what it was for?
Oh, business.
It was a touch call. And I just, when she started talking, my stomach got the biggest bubble in it, and it went right to my heart, because I'm like, oh, this poor thing. She's starting her business. She's making her 10 phone calls a day. She's doing it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what we do.
Yeah.
So of course I have an investor that we work with and everything. She's like, I'm sure you probably do, but and I said, you need so many appointments, don't you? She says, I do. I said, I would love to have a Zoom call with you. She's like, thank you. Just to get that door open, to get things moving. But you know what? We're going to have a great conversation, and she's going to refer somebody to me, and I'm going to refer somebody to her. It is what it is. I know a lot of people who would love to work with, somebody who's first starting out versus, the guy who we work with. So.
Yeah. And just going back to, getting business, and if you're new and you're meeting somebody at an open house and you don't know them, honestly, you just reach out and keep in contact with them. If they're reciprocal, those are the ones that you want to work with. Those are the ones that are going to be like-minded. If you're not getting them, you're not able to contact them afterwards, honestly, I feel like, you know what, I'm going on to the next person that wants to work with me. And those are the ones that I end up selling to. I'm not a chaser. Just not. I just, and I think if you have that attitude, and I remember when I first started and I said this line, I am not going to chase you down. If you sign in and you do not want to work with me, I am not going to chase you down. That's why I like to get their information. I never have them write any information down in an open house. I'm getting it because the ones that give me that information are the ones that are going to want to work with me.
Yep.
Period. The end.
The landing pages are awesome.
Yeah. It just takes a lot of headache out of my life. I have your information because you wanted me to have it. Otherwise, not going to chase you down. And I'll say, even though it may not have been true at the time, I'll say, you know what? I'm not going to chase you down because I don't have time. I only work with people that really want to work with me. That's how I operate my business. And just that alone, boom. It's like all of a sudden they want to work with you. It's crazy, but try it. It works.
That's awesome. Does anybody have any other questions? Things that they're having problems with, issues with? What do I do? Why did somebody?
What about the 1.5 commission situation?
Oh, what about the 1.5 commission situation, Janine?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Like Redfin is 1.5%.
They only give buyer's agents?
Yep.
She said Redfin only gives buyer's agents 1.5. Ouch.
I just sold a Redfin. It was the typical commission.
Mine was 1.5 and I asked for the 0.5 to be paid by the seller.
Yeah, by the seller or the buyer?
Seller.
Okay, and?
I'm waiting.
Okay, so it was a 1.5, and she asked for the seller to pay the additional 0.5 in order to get her to 2.
Because we can't accept less than 2 without permission.
Yes, because in our office, we cannot accept less than 2 without permission.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
That's awful.
That's awful. I mean, it's almost like, why would I show your property then when I can show all these other ones and get paid what I deserve?
Exactly. Well, and keep in mind when you're working with buyers, it's not just that one house you're showing them. I mean, if it was a one and done, okay, I still wouldn't take 1.5, but it's very rare that you're showing somebody one house and you're not emailing them for days or months before. I mean, it's not just that one offer that you're writing that you're getting paid on. You're getting paid on all the research that you do, the portal setup, you know, your buyer's meeting, you know, everything that you do. When you break that down, my gosh, at 1.5, you're making 10 cents an hour.
Right.
I know, it shouldn't be allowed.
No. You know what? And that's one thing that, unfortunately, well, we have industry standards, but we don't have industry minimums.
Right. Okay, who can we pick on? Casey, do you have any questions?
Oh, Jessica said.
Oh, wait.
I do, Janine.
Oh, Jessica, yes.
What is the proper way to prepare for hosting an open house?
Love it. What is the proper way to prepare for an open house? So this is how I prepare. I pull up the listing. I get all the information. If it's not my open house, right? So it's not my listing. I will call the listing agent. If I don't have all the age of the mechanicals and things to know, roof, all of that jazz, I want all that information. You'll be amazed how many listing agents have no clue. So get it far in advance.
Okay.
So things to know, age of mechanicals. I pull up the history of the house. I want their list of improvements. What have they done to that house since their purchase? Then I'm going to be looking at what's for sale around their neighborhood, and I'm going to pull those sheets. I'm going to take them with me.
Okay.
And then I'm going to look at what has sold in that neighborhood, that subdivision, those few blocks around it. I'm going to know that. And then I'm going to get there a little bit early. So I would say if you're doing it for another agent, and let's say the open house starts at noon, and you've never been to that house, I'd say, please let your sellers know that I'm going to be there at 11:30 because I want to, acclimate myself to that property.
Okay.
And then when I put my signs out, I have the doors all locked. I go and put my signs out, make sure all the lights are turned on. And then I have my open house script, and I am not following anyone around the house. I hang by the front door, which LA will see tonight. I have an open house from 4:30 to 6. And I am just, introducing myself, ask them if they'd like a guided tour, if they'd like to look on their own. If they say they want a guided tour, I'm actually asking them to have yes answers. I don't give them a guided tour. I'd say, you know what, I need to stay by the front door. You guys go ahead and look around. And if you don't mind, may I ask you your thoughts on the house after you've looked at it? Sure. And then I just engage in conversation. My objective is to get their contact information if they will. If they don't, bye-bye. I'll find out if they're working with an agent or how they, how they heard about the house. And that's it. That's it. The ones I follow up with are the ones that have given me their information, because for whatever reason that house wasn't suitable. So what is suitable? And I follow up with them right away, sometimes as they're leaving, if I have time. And then I get those contacts, and my goal is to pick up one buyer and one seller at an open house.
Okay.
Now, does that happen all the time? No. But has it happened? Yes. But that's my goal. My intention is to pick up a buyer and to pick up a seller.
Perfect.
That's it. I'm very clear about that in my mind. That's what I'm there for.
And your script works really good because you used it on me as a customer before.
That's right. Oh my God, Jessica. Right.
But it works really good versus a sign-up sheet because people can avoid a sign-up sheet. So, you
Who
know,
likes to sign in?
right.
Nobody.
Mhm.
Who likes to have somebody stand out their dressing room while you're trying on something that's too small?
Right.
Nobody.
Mhm.
It's like, get away. I don't
Exactly.
want, no. So that's so true. So
Yeah.
that's how you prepare. Know the house.
Okay.
And if you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer. You know what?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Okay.
And I can follow up with you on that.
Sure.
Big deal. Don't beat yourself up, you guys. Jay used to tease me all the time because he is very statistical and he can roll off price per square foot around the corner. And I am like, no, my brain does not work that way. I'll say, I love that paint color.
Mhm.
You know, I just am different. And I was super intimidated thinking that I had to have that brain, and that really sucked all the fun out of what
Mhm.
I thought was going to be a great time. So then I went, you know what? I'm going to have a great time, and it's going to be my way. And my great time is then going to show to everybody that walks in this house, and I really don't care.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right?
Can I ask a quick question about the showing time? So after you do an open house and you go in and you have to fill out the showing time,
Yeah.
it always asks how your clients felt about price. How often are you asking? Because the last couple of times I've made it like part of the script to always ask, how do you feel about the price of the house? Where do you think it's at? Is that good, or
I don't
sometimes it
ask
feels
that.
weird?
I don't ask that. I don't, that's not a part of, no, I don't ask it, because you know what? It's kind of then gives a negative connotation to your conversation. Oh, I think it's too high. So then where do you go from that? You know, where does your script go? I don't know. I never ask.
We need to touch on feedback,
Yes, we do.
because I had somebody do an open house for me, and they put on their feedback, it was excellent, it was the best house they've ever shown, and the price was perfect. Now, mind you, this place is a dump. Okay? It needs a full remodel, it needs all new mechanicals. The flooring in the kitchen is worn right through to the ground. It's a flipper's house.
Got it.
And this person put the showing was excellent. It was the best house, number 5, that they've ever seen. So I called this person and I said, I just want to let you know that the sellers, now I put feedback through myself first. It doesn't go directly to the sellers because of this. With everything being perfect, you should be writing an offer.
Right.
If it is not perfect, and if it's not excellent, please do not put that. Now, on the other hand, don't say it's a piece of SH, because it usually, a lot of times it does go to the seller. Just say too many improvements needed for these buyers. Give it a 1 or a 2 or a 3 out of 5. Don't give it a 5, and don't say it's the most excellent house you've ever seen, because
Right.
that means that you are writing an offer. Okay, so be honest. Make sure you fill out the feedback, and but be nice about it.
Our
Janine?
feedback goes immediately to the seller. We do not filter it. So when they see it, we see it.
But so that price on there, because that's a specific question, you can't skip it.
Sure you can.
Are you
I
just
can.
your
have skipped
opinion
it.
on the price?
I never fill that out. I go right to the bottom where it says comments.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm like,
okay.
no, no.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you were going to write an offer on that property, and you say, and this is so interesting because, oh my God, this happens a lot. They'll put price, opinion of price just right. And then they write under the price. And then my sellers are like, what do you mean? They said price just right. Now they're going, so you've already screwed up that negotiation in my mind. So I just leave it. And you just be mindful that that's going to go to the seller. Another thing that I do, little trick, if it isn't the same brokerage, so if it's a non-Keller Williams showing time, I always put my name at the bottom of the comments, Janine, Werner, Keller Williams. So let's say it's a First Weber or Shore West listing. because a lot of times they do go right to the seller. And let's say that seller has had it with their agent and you're showing that property. I have gotten 1 or 2 listings this way where after it expired, those sellers reach out to me and say, you know what, Janine, I looked you up. You showed our house twice. And you know what? We want to talk to you about listing our house. We did not have a great experience. So I always type my name at the bottom, Janine Werner Keller Williams, because it doesn't automatically show the sellers who you are. So that was a little trick. So start doing that.
Yeah.
But don't leave something nasty and put your name at the bottom. Because honestly, it does kind of make you then think, okay, how am I going to be presenting myself on the showing time feedback? And that's really trained me to be honest, professional, and I put my name on it.
And sellers are looking for that feedback also. So please fill it out. There's nothing worse than 30 showings and no feedback.
Yeah.
Too much work for my buyers, period. So what if you are the person just hosting the open house, and because you still get all that stuff?
So,
show it.
Yep, the question is, what if you're the person hosting the open house? You didn't really show it.
Yep. So I don't know how you guys work it, but on our team, if you host an open house, you're going to get a showing time feedback request. And I usually put in there, we had 8 groups through. 6 out of the 8 were working with agents, and I will follow up with the listing agent of who they are. The 2 other parties, they were not interested. It was not a right fit.
Yep.
Period. The end.
Yep.
Just give them the like how many people went through and so on and so forth. And then pick up the phone or email that agent and say, the 6 groups that came in with agents, here are the agents' names, because then that listing agent can follow up. But any other leads that come in, those are yours. You take them and run.
And the sellers always want to know right after the open house how it was. I mean, they had to leave their house for an hour and a half or 2 hours. They want to know, A, was it worth it? B, did anybody come through? And C, was it worth it or was it a waste of my time? So
my rule is my tires do not move from their property, either from their driveway, or I usually don't park in the driveway unless it's raining. I don't want to get my hair wet. I never leave the property. My wheels do not move until I have filled out that showing time feedback, because that is so rude.
Really important.
For having those sellers wait to find out. And then if someone's doing my open house and I have to chase you down to get the feedback, I probably won't let you do an open house for me again, because my sellers are all over me. And so that's just my rule. And believe me, there are times where I have pulled out and then it's 3 hours later going, oh my God, I forgot to do the feedback. So I've had to slap myself and just, I can't move until I do it. I'm gonna have to move because my battery's gonna die. So, all right, somebody else. Let's see. Jennifer Mackis, do you have any questions?
I do not. A lot of people have already been asking the questions I had. I actually have an upcoming listing I just found out about.
Oh,
so.
yay.
Actually, during this call, I went and took it. Sorry for having my video off. I have not been feeling great. I didn't want to be on broadcast.
Well, you stay healthy.
Thank you.
The listing, how did you get it?
It's a neighbor of mine. I've been pretty vocal about becoming a realtor, and my neighbors are like, you have to sell Ken's house. You have to sell Ken's house. So I'm going to sell his house. I'm doing it.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thanks.
How about Theresa Brown?
Hi, Theresa Brown is here.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Do you have any questions?
No, I've been listening, and I want you to know that I joined a team.
Woo!
I joined the KCN team. I've been really focusing on social media and my database.
Good.
I want to move into doing open houses. So I was listening to the conversation on that. So it's kind of where I am. I have a condo listing. This is my third one, so I'm in the middle of a condo listing right now, set to close October 30th.
Oh my gosh. Good for you. Condos are tough. You know, there's a lot more work in selling and listing a condo than a single family house. So good for you, because that's, it's not easy.
Yep, this is my second condo. So we'll see.
We're going to call you the condo queen, Theresa.
Call me that. That's what KG's calling me.
I love it. Good for you.
Yeah, so I'm doing okay.
Good.
I told my team members that my Christmas present is to get out of lunch.
Oh. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, there's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Somebody else has got to have a question.
I have a question, Janine.
Yay, Samantha.
This is actually my first productivity call that I've been on, but I've been doing the launch calls, and the team meeting calls. But I was curious, when you're at an open house and since you don't have the sign-in sheet and you're getting their contact info if they want to give it to you, what's been your typical dialogue for asking for it without sounding pushy?
Yep. So I will, Samantha, email me. I will send you my open house script. So it's Werner, JWERNER @kw.com. If anyone doesn't have it and they want it, email me and I'll send it to you. It is a fabulous script that somebody shared with me from San Diego, KW. He wrote it, and it's been life-changing for me because it's actually how I think. So once I find out that they came to the open house because of Trulia or Zillow, they're not working with another agent, then I'll ask them, and you'll see this in the script, would you be interested in finding out about properties before they come out on the market? It can be weeks before they come on the market or months. Is that something that is of interest to you? Well, yeah, of course it is. You know, if they are legitimate buyers who are not working with an agent, then I say, awesome. I'll need your email and your phone number, please. And I do not make eye contact with them. There is a reason for it. I'm not quite sure what it is, but that's part of the script. You don't look at them. You have your pad of paper and your pen and you write it down and say, awesome. When is a good time, once you have it, when is a good time to chat with you guys about this? Because you don't want to chat about it at the open house because you're waiting for someone else to come in. And then literally once that open house is over, then I will call them and say, if we didn't set up a time at the open house, hey, you guys, I'm following up with you. When is a good time for us to chat? It can be via Zoom. It can be on the phone, whatever it is. But then how are you going to know about properties weeks, if not months, before they come on the market? Because you're going to your Tuesday meetings at the market center. And you're going to find out if you stay on after the meeting of buyer needs and seller needs. And you're going to know about properties that are going to be coming up on the market. They're not seeing those delayed listings in Trulia and Zillow. That does not populate to those sites. So you are going to know that information. They won't. So that's information that you can share. And then you can literally bring it up on Tuesday saying, I have a buyer need. I have someone that's looking for a $250,000 house in this area of town. Does anyone have anything? And boom, it's like matchmaking. You may have another agent. Yeah, you know what, Samantha, I'm actually going to be listing something. So yeah, and you can say, I network with hundreds of KW agents on a weekly basis, and we all have sellers that we're working with that are going to be taking their property on the market. So honestly, why wouldn't they want to work with you?
Okay.
Like right away, like I'm in, right? It's that easy.
Okay, thank you.
And don't get discouraged if they come in and they're working with agents or, you know, all of that, because that's going to happen. I always took that as great. I'm practicing, so I really don't care. You know, I'm just saying the script until it's a numbers game, and I will connect with somebody that is literally wanting to be connected to.
Okay, we have a question about what is warrantable? Oh, we got you. Okay, so warrantable is something that's attached to condos. So a condo will be warrantable by the lender. And they have certain statistics that that condo falls under in order to warrant it for a loan.
Yep.
It's usually the amount of rentals. It could be the amount of monies in a reserve fund. You know, there are different things that make a condo warrantable. I am not a lender, so I don't pay that much attention to it. But your lender will look up these different condo complexes to see if they're warrantable or unwarrantable. And different lenders can loan on different properties. Usually a bank per se, depending on the bank, depending on how big it is, depending on how much money the bank has in reserves, whether they will be taking care of a product basically like this. I know Chad Horkin at Stearns Financial, he does a lot of unwarrantable condos because their company has a lot of money in their Blackstone affiliate, and they keep a lot of their product in-house and they have the money to back it. And that's a whole nother lender kind of thing. But the warrantable thing is important with condos.
And you can usually find out by looking at, if you're going to be listing a condo, and you look at the other condos that have sold, because I've sold 2 of them that I had no, I mean, I am not a condo queen, Theresa. And they were unwarrantable. So it had to be, you know, a particular lender and or a cash buyer. And that buyer needed to be aware of that this is unwarrantable. So when you sell it, it might be trickier than a typical condominium.
And if that's the case, call your lenders and see if your lender will do a loan on this property, and you know, make sure that the buyer's agent knows this. And if they do not have a certain lender, give them your lender. Our job is to put deals together. So just know your information, know your background on these items. Yep. Good question.
Right. That's a good question.
And where do you find that, or you just call the listing agent?
It should be disclosed in MLS as a listing agent that it is non-warrantable.
Okay.
So, yeah, it should be disclosed. I mean, I have listed some, and it's the first thing I write in there is non-warrantable, because meaning they're either gonna have to bring cash, or they're gonna have to find a lender. And then I'll usually find out from the seller, you know, how did they pay for their condo, what lender they went through. I start calling my lenders. Here's the property, here's the condo unit, you know, is this something that you could lend on?
Well, and that changes also.
Yeah.
So a couple of years it may be non-warrantable, but now that they have more money in reserves, or they have changed their rules that they only rent out 20% of the condos, then it could be warrantable.
Right.
As a listing agent, you should have that in the MLS. As a buyer agent, and I'm presenting that condo and it's not in the MLS, and find out later on, what happens at that point?
Well, I mean, because you have a financing contingency in there that would save you if it was non-warrantable. So that lender will find out immediately and let that buyer know, you know what, this is not something that I can lend on. And then you're going to have to find a lender that will. Mm-hmm. So you still have that financing contingency to protect that buyer. Avi Greenspan, we have not heard from you.
Hi.
Hi.
I guess my only question that I have is actually getting open houses as a new agent. What's the best way to reach out to other agents to ask to hold their open houses for them?
Very good question. So I would put on the North Shore Lake Country Facebook page. I'm a new agent and I would love to host an open house and or shadow you. So, you know, for most agents that have listings, they're gonna want you to shadow them. So then you can see how they like to represent their properties. Like for our team, it's a requirement if you want to do, and I'm telling you, listings are really tough now because they're so slight. People are fighting over them. But for us, you need to shadow myself on our team before you can, you know, host an open for us. Put it out there. I'll shadow you. Go to open houses over the weekend and find out when all the KW open houses are, or an area that you want to look at. Go into the showing time that will say open houses. Go and stop in and introduce yourself to those agents and say, you know what? I would really like to host an open house for you. Can, you know, just you gotta put yourself out there. And it's a little tougher right now, to be honest, because of the inventory issue.
You can also go on MLS and look up office listings.
Yep.
Find a house that you would like to hold open and call that agent directly.
Yep. And like I said before, if it's a vacant home, it doesn't have to be a Saturday, Sunday. I mean, my God, hold it open all day on a Wednesday and bring your laptop with you in your hotspot and put signs out. I mean, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You can be different.
Yeah.
There's, you know what, there's also on the KW Facebook where some people might even need coverage. So
yeah,
taking a look at that. I mean, I just put myself out there and I just, since I think Tuesday, I put it out there and just changed it every day. And so like, I'll host your open house, call me, text me, let's get it done. And so now I'm booked this weekend.
Wow. Yep. See, there you go. Yeah.
And keep in mind, you should be looking on Mondays and Tuesdays, so we can get the information out there that you'll be holding an open house, because it has to be in MLS by Thursday in order to get to all the different sites.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 2 on Sunday and 1 that I just got on Saturday. So
you're going to be busy.
Phew.
And sometimes this happens too, where you sign up for an open house like on a Sunday, and let's say the property goes live on a Thursday and they accept an offer on Saturday, and then you're cut, you know, unless that seller is like, keep the open house open. But then when you do that, people come to the open house and they're ticked off because there's an accepted offer and you are getting daggers thrown at you. So
do you say anything like there's an accepted offer, or
yeah.
do you just say like,
yeah, we say, like for instance, I have one Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. There's already like, I don't know how many showings today on this property. So I put into MLS, and it's always a crapshoot because you just never know. I put into MLS any and all offers to be reviewed by seller Saturday at 1:30. I changed my open house from 10 to 12 on Saturday. I gotta be honest, I have a wedding to go to Saturday at 3 o'clock, and I told the sellers, I'm like, I gotta be honest, it's gotta be 1:30 because I am going to a wedding that I don't want to go to because there's gonna be 140 people. So I'm gonna stay way outside, away from everybody. So most likely that Sunday open house, I'm already in my mind thinking it's not gonna happen. And I'll cancel it, and we'll put a note on the door. We'll take it out of MLS. So if I were not hosting it and somebody else was, I would say to that person, I'm so sorry, but we have this under contract.
Yeah.
But that's happening too, unfortunately.
Yep. Okay, we're out of time.
Okay. Well, this was really fun, you guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a great week.
You too.
And we will
Be
talk.
positive.
Yes.
Do one thing that you like to do and do it really well, and nothing else will matter.
Deal.
That's all I can say for right now.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.